All right, tonight we are diving into a college basketball game that had everything you could ever want. Seriously, it was a textbook David versus Goliath story. You've got this legendary program with one of the wildest home crowds in all of sports, facing a challenge that seemed, well, pretty much impossible. So let's meet Goliath, shall we? The Arizona Wildcats. They didn't just walk into Allen Fieldhouse as the #1 team in the nation. No, they were undefeated. This team wasn't just winning games, they were absolutely steamrolling opponents. They had the size, the skill, the athleticism, you name it. By every metric, they were the team to beat. And who was standing in their way? The Kansas Jayhawks. Now look, playing at home in Allen Fieldhouse is always a huge boost, but they were staring up at a mountain. And to make that climb even tougher, they were down a key player, Darren Peterson, who was out sick. So you've got a shorthanded squad against an unbeaten giant. The stage was set for an absolute war. And right from the opening tip-off, Arizona looked exactly like you'd expect the #1 team to look. They came out so physical, so commanding, and they put the Jayhawks on their heels right away. This right here, this quote, tells you almost everything you need to know about Arizona's identity. Controlling the boards wasn't just something they were good at, it was their entire philosophy. The fact that they hadn't been out-rebounded a single time all year, that just speaks volumes about their physical dominance, which was on full display from the jump. Meanwhile, the Jayhawks just couldn't find any kind of rhythm. Their shots weren't falling, and Arizona's defense was just suffocating. The Wildcats, on the other hand, were scoring with ease, building up a lead and taking that usually insane home crowd right out of the game. Honestly, it was looking like this upset bid might be over before it ever got started. But here's the thing, even while they were struggling to score, Kansas was not backing down. The real fight, the real war, was happening down low, in the paint. You had these absolute titans from both teams just clashing on every single possession. And that really became the theme of the first half. It was a total block party. You drive to the rim, you were going to get met with some serious resistance. Both of these teams had elite rim protectors who were just making their presence felt, turning what should have been easy layups into massive risks. For Kansas, that defensive wall was Flory Bidunga. I mean, look at this. Ranked second in the entire country in blocks per game. A number like that tells you he's a certified game changer on defense. He's that last line, erasing mistakes and challenging absolutely everything that comes near the hoop. But get this, it wasn't a one-way street. Even Bidunga, this elite shot blocker, found himself getting his shot swatted by Arizona's Mocos. This one moment just perfectly captured how ferocious this battle was. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was getting anything easy down low tonight. And at the very heart of this physical war was this incredible matchup between two powerful sophomores, Bryson for Kansas and Kylan Pete for Arizona. These two were just banging down low, fighting for every single inch of space. Tiller had to get creative, hitting tough step-back jumpers just to score against Pete's relentless pressure. It was just this fantastic one-on-one duel inside the larger battle. So despite all that fight, despite the incredible individual efforts, Kansas still found themselves in a really deep hole. As the second half got underway, Arizona wasn't just leading, they were firmly in control. The upset was looking more and more like a fantasy. An 11-point lead in the second half, on the road, for the #1 team in the country. I mean, this is usually where the story ends, right? Arizona looked completely unfazed by the hostile crowd and seemed ready to just cruise to another win and keep that perfect record alive. But something was about to change. And then, boom, it happened. A little spark just ignited this massive fire. It started with a drive from McDowell, then came a huge defensive stop, then Melvin gets out in transition and scores. And just like that, in a flash, that commanding Arizona lead was gone. This quick 7-0 run completely flipped the momentum of the game and sent Allen Fieldhouse into an absolute frenzy. Now think about this for a second. Even after that incredible, furious comeback to tie the game, Kansas had still never held the lead, not for one single second. For over 30 minutes of game time, they had been chasing, fighting, and clawing their way back. The resilience was just off the charts. A huge piece of this comeback was the amazing chemistry between Melvin and Flory Bidunga, especially on their signature play. You know, it looks simple. Screen, drive, lob, and a huge finish. But the timing, the trust that's required to pull that off is totally elite. This was the 15th time they'd connected on this exact play this season. It was their go-to, their bread and butter, and it worked like a charm when they needed it most. And if the lob wasn't there, well, Melvin Council just decided to take matters into his own hands. His speed in the open floor was a complete nightmare for Arizona. He'd grab a rebound and just go coast to coast in the blink of an eye, putting constant pressure on the defense and literally willing his team back into the game. He was the engine behind this comeback. And then it finally happened. After more than 35 minutes of trailing, Kansas broke through. And they didn't just take the lead, they built a 5-point advantage. All of a sudden, the impossible was starting to feel very, very possible. The hunted had become the hunter. And that brought us to the final nail-biting moments. You could just feel the tension. An undefeated record hanging in the balance. A monumental upset brewing. Every single possession felt like it was the most important one of the game. But of course, the #1 team in the country wasn't just going to fold. Just as quickly as Kansas built their lead, Arizona punched right back. A clutch shot goes in, and suddenly, all that work, that entire incredible comeback, it all comes down to a razor-thin 1-point game. The entire thing was on a knife's edge. So with a game on the line, Arizona has the ball with a chance to take the lead. Their hot hand, KJ Burries, drives to the hoop, but waiting for him was Flory Bidunga, the defensive anchor. He rises up and makes the defensive play of the entire game, just swatting that shot away and saving the Jayhawks' fragile lead. It was a massive block in a massive moment. From there, it was just pure, controlled chaos. Arizona had to start fouling. Kansas had to go to the free throw line under crushing pressure, and they knocked him down. The Jayhawks needed one last defensive stand, preventing any last-second prayers, as those final seconds just ticked off the clock in a history. And that was it. The buzzer sounds. The crowd absolutely erupts. The impossible had happened. The short-handed Kansas Jayhawks, who had trailed for almost the entire game, had done it. They had toppled the giant. Just let that sink in. The undefeated #1 team in the nation goes down. It was an absolute statement victory, a masterclass in resilience, and just a classic college basketball moment that people are going to be talking about for a long, long time. You know, this is the kind of win that can totally change the entire story of a team's season. To beat a powerhouse like Arizona, especially when you're not at full strength, that shows a level of grit and potential you just can't fake. And it leaves us with one huge, fascinating question. If this is what they can do now, what's the ceiling for this Kansas team? How far can they really go?